welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Sports Fellas.
All right.
Let's go.
And I am so glad to be back.
This is Eric, finally back in the booth. Missed a couple episodes. Happy to be back.
This is Chuck. Glad to be back, man. It has been a few weeks, but we're going to get it off right here.
This is Don. Just happy to be back. It's been a while, and we're ready to go.
I am so glad to be back, you guys. So we tuned into our last episode that we had on Week 6 picks. So we're going to be doing a show every week on just picking every week. And also we will do is every other episode we will talk about the games that are above 500 and win-loss columns, and we'll also talk about the NBA. We're going to talk about the Major League Baseball and who's going to the World Series. So real quick, let's just go ahead and start off with a quick shout out on my end. I'll start off. I want to thank everyone tuning in and has always supported us. Thank you so much. I want to thank friends and family as well. Thank you guys for all the support and love.
This is Eric. I'd like to give a shout out to all my brothers and sisters in the armed forces, protecting this country and letting us do what we love. Love you guys.
I'd like to throw a shout out to the fans and Carlos for putting this on. This is something I enjoy doing, and also to my wife and kids that give me the spare time to come and do something like this. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Just want to give a shout out to the fellas here, just being here to talk sports, and shout out to the Raider Nation for what we're going through right now. But we're gonna come back strong.
All right. Okay, so we're going to, like I said, we're going to talk about the NFL game reviews. We're also going to tune into Chuck's Dugout. I can't look forward to that. And also, we will have our favorite segment, the Mano a Mano. All right, so real quick, we want to give a quick thanks to our following sponsors.
All right, you're good to continue.
Okay. All right, welcome back, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Week 6, right? Week 6 of the NFL. So what we're going to do is we're going to narrow down on a couple games, you guys. So first up, we're going to start off with the Arizona Cardinals visiting the Cleveland Browns. So I'm going to start this off with you, Eric. All right, so Arizona is the only team that's undefeated in the NFL. They are controlling right now the NFC West with kind of looking a little bit behind. We see the Los Angeles Rams because they only have one loss. They're going to visit a Cleveland Brown team that had the game very intense against the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, going into this game, Eric, who do you see winning and why?
I have the Cardinals. They're red hot right now, and shout out to their GM. They just got Zach Ertz, so that's another weapon for Kyler Murray. As long as the line keeps protecting him, they still have that hot shot. I think it was a left tackle, that 6'7" guy that ran that 4.57 or something like that. They've been protecting him. Kyler's been running around. D-Hop's been playing good. They just keep giving him weapons, and that's what you have to do. You have to build around your guy. So that's what they're doing. I don't see – Baker still is making those Baker mistakes. He's going to throw you 1 or 2 interceptions a game. Though they do have one of the best running games, I just don't think they have enough against the hottest team in the NFL right now.
Chuck?
I'd say with Arizona is probably based off health alone. I think they're gonna just be able to pull this out. It's in Cleveland, and that's a huge place to play in. Like that's a really good home field advantage for them. So if they do pull it out Cleveland wise, that's probably be the only factor for them. But Nick Chubb's out, and without him, your dual running game is gone. So Kareem Hunt can pick up the slack, but. Yeah, I do think that with Kyler Murray playing out lights out right now, those offensive weapons, man, like that offense almost mimics what Tampa's got going on, and they got the record to prove it. So yeah, I'm gonna say Tampa takes it.
Well, I think I have to go Arizona also, but right now on defense they did take a big blow with Chandler Jones going out with COVID, and their head coach tested positive also. So he'll have to do a lot of play calling remotely, but. I don't think that should affect them too much because even though it is in Cleveland and they took a hit on one of their running backs, I still think that, overall, Arizona's got it.
And you have a good point there. To summarize here, so let's look at Arizona. So with Arizona, Eric, Kyle Murray's playing phenomenal. And to see D-Hop, of course, he's the number one weapon.
Of course.
Now you got Zach Ertz, and he just had his first touchdown back when he was in Philly this season. So
There's only one thing that worries me, right? Is the weather. Because we're talking about a team that plays indoors most of the year. I'm talking about Arizona. If it rains or there's any nasty weather, that cuts down on the passing game and that forces them to run more. Can they play in that AFC North nasty weather? If it rains.
I think Connor and Edmonds have it. That's a good running. That's a good backfield.
I mean, Connor has experience because he came from your team, the
Yep.
Steelers.
Yeah.
But back to what I was saying, look, the thing I'm concerned about Cleveland is, okay, so Chubb is out,
Yep.
Jarvis Landry's still out, and also for some reason Baker and Odell have not been on the same page.
I think that's been since they got there.
So looking at it, both games, I still think Arizona's just going to still keep going. But don't get me wrong, if Cleveland's going to win this game, being at home, for the love of everything, you guys have the best running back duo in the league. Don't give Kareem Hunt all that workload, because if you're going to do that and then he gets injured, what's going to happen?
They're
you
done.
can't go to the passing game because no way that's going to work. So, but then on Arizona side with Chandler Jones out, I mean, J.J. Watt has got leadership. So therefore, they're going to rally on them and get them going. So I got Arizona winning this game. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Don's team, the Raider Nation. The Las Vegas Raiders going to visit my team, the Denver Broncos. I'm going to start this off with you, Don. So we know what's been going on. For the listeners out there, we know that John Gruden resigned. That was
Sudden.
sudden, terrible. And so it shook up the foundation there, especially them losing to Chicago. Now, Denver, on the other hand, we're on a 2-game losing streak. I mean, we lost to my friend's team here, Eric, in the Steelers, and we lost also to Baltimore, which was terrible. It was a reality check for us. So, Don, who are you taking and why, besides the obvious?
I think overall we still have a better team. The thing is, can they pull it together? With everything that's been going on right now. And I think from what I've seen with the new coach they brought in, our special teams coach, can't say his name right now, but pronounce it right. But I think he can pull the team together. And then they're just coming off a 2-game losing skid. And I know they're tired of losing, so I think that everybody's going to pull together and just go on fire on all cylinders and get it going.
How about you, Eric?
I think you have to have players like Derek Carr, Waller, and Jacobs, the running back, if they buy in to the new coach. You need your superstars to buy into the new philosophy, the new culture, to move past this John Gruden, we'll call it a cloud. If they can buy in and move and bring and come together as a team and be stronger to get away from all the off-field distractions, they'll be fine. But they have to have buy-in. That's the only way you can change cultures if you have buy-in.
How about you, Chuck?
Yeah, that's a good point. Your coordinators handle a lot of the workload when it comes to coaching these teams. So week by week, I think the gameplay can be handled by the coordinators themselves. So, Chucky being out like that, that's obviously going to be a factor. But when he came into the team and program, they thought it was just going to be instant success. They had a quarterback in place, not all the offensive weapons that they have now, but they didn't have that great turnaround almost immediately. So it's almost like what Eric said. I mean, you got to buy into this system. You have to buy into the program itself. Your quarterback's your leader, and he's playing pretty well. Their offense is doing good. They're driving. Doing what they did against Baltimore. I mean, that's pretty impressive to pull off. So they can. I think they can still pull it out. I think with Denver's, I don't say wishy-washy, but they're not solid either. They're not 100% in their flow of things. But I do think it's going to be a good game, though. I do think it's going to be a back and forth type deal, and your midday game is going to be pretty exciting to watch. So
I agree, Chuck, and those are good points that you said. Overall, we're back at home in Denver. The thing that concerns me so much about Denver was we were going in 3-0, and we had Baltimore come into town, and I just said, okay, this is going to be the statement game. If we can beat Baltimore, then we're on to something. We're on to something. Reality check. No, we were not on that. We were getting torched. The run game was killing us. And overall, Denver just seemed like they could not match up.
Hollywood Brown was doing what he wanted.
So
Yeah.
therefore, now we go to Pittsburgh, and I thought, okay, this might be a little better, just a little bit better. No, that did. Chase Claypool was again. Who was holding? I think it was Surtain
Yep.
was holding, and he was just getting beat.
He's getting mossed.
So big time mossed. So looking at these both games like this, the thing is the Raiders have to rally. They have to rally together because honestly, if I was a betting man, I would say on paper Las Vegas looks much better than Denver. And the thing is that yes, it's going to be a divisional game. It's going to be fun, but I'm going to have to give this to you, Don. It's Las Vegas. Las Vegas has the better opportunity. But if Denver wins, okay, so be it. That'd be nice. But we'd play you guys again later in Las Vegas. But for this occasion, I'm just going to have to go with your team, Don, with Las Vegas. So moving on. So the Monday night game, we have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Tennessee Titans. So Buffalo is one of the hottest teams right now in the AFC.
Yep.
Hands down, Josh Allen is up there.
Yeah.
One of the best quarterbacks. He's fun to watch. I admire the fact that this guy is a leader.
Yep.
And the guy goes out there and he rallies his team players together. I mean, this is just, and with the addition of Emmanuel Sanders, and now you got him, Stephon Diggs, now Knox. Now I said his name wrong in the last episode, but we're just gonna keep it at Knox. The tight end Knox has a touchdown in every single of his game, and he embarrassed our local team, the Kansas City Chiefs,
Sure did.
which was funny. No offense to all the Chief fans out there, I already know, but all I'm just saying is that's what I saw that Sunday night game. Now let's flip over to Tennessee. Okay, so I'm going to start this off with you, Don. All right, so Tennessee, Derrick Henry, unstoppable machine. He's getting his yards. But the thing I'm concerned about is they acquired Julio Jones, but Julio Jones is not really showing the dividends that
He's not.
that's why they brought him in. But now they're going against Buffalo. Now look at this. Buffalo defensively is top 10.
Yeah.
They're up there.
They're always underrated.
And
They're always
and
underrated.
so now you got a team that's balanced. They're in
And
it's
they
a
can stop the
nightmare.
run.
So who are you going to take that Monday night?
It's obvious you can't go against the Bills on this one because they got on both sides of the ball. You know, they're not going to forget last year what happened when Derrick Henry was throwing people like 10 yards away. So that defense is going to step up and contain him because they really don't have to worry much about the pass game, but they got the corners that, that can back them up. So overall on both sides of the ball, they can't stop him. Unless they can control the ball with the run game with Derrick Henry, I don't see them beating Buffalo.
All right, Chuck.
Yeah, Buffalo's got the favor. They're clicking on all cylinders. I think they got them by 5.5 points on the road, so that tells you what Vegas thinks themselves. But man, Josh Allen, last year when they had the tight games against Kansas City like that, and it just kind of set the precedent, or that it set the tone for what was going to happen in the playoffs. Well, this year the Kansas City's doing what they're doing, so they're kind of stepping back and they're going down in a wrong turn type of deal. Not the Bills. They're doing more and more, better and better, clicking and clicking. So Tennessee, that was the other top 4 team in the AFC. You were going to wait to see what's going to happen in the playoffs, and these guys, they're going to meet again. So what you saw with the Bills in Kansas City, you'll likely see again in the playoffs, depending on how the seeding goes. And then this is another precursor to probably an exciting, really good, thrilling AFC title game.
In this game, I'm a Bills fan. I grew up as a defensive player, and I love matchups like this when you go against a superstar running back, because I feel like they're going to stack the box and make what you have to do is you have to take away one player. You take away Derrick Henry and you force Ryan Tannehill to beat you in the air. Like you said, Julio Jones was supposed to be that guy to help out, and he hasn't really shown up yet. So make Ryan Tannehill, make Julio Jones show up. I would trust my corners on this, and I'm stacking the box because I'm not going to let Derrick Henry beat me. If you keep him under 120 yards, you saw that one game he only had 58, they lose. So he's the X factor for that team. You take him away, the Bills have it on the other side of the ball. Josh Allen is playing his type of football. I mean, he's one of the best picks I've ever seen go to a system that can build around him. He is the perfect guy to play in that system.
And I'm glad you brought this up too, Eric. So you guys help me out here. Did you notice when Corey Davis left, Have you noticed that A.J. Brown has kind of dipped in numbers? When Julio Jones wasn't there, when it was Corey Davis and A.J. Brown, I mean, especially look at the stats in fantasy football in that time too. They were up there that
Right.
year.
Yep.
They were a monsters going in, and then when they went to the AFC Championship, I just thought, okay, Kansas City might struggle. This might happen, but at the end that didn't work. But the thing is that somehow I don't know what's going on with Tennessee. They just don't stay consistent. But there was light when they beat Seattle. Either Seattle wasn't that good, or they proved, hey, you know what? If that's their bread and butter, the run game.
Absolutely.
That's their bread and butter.
Yep.
So, but the thing is this is like Buffalo is just different. There's something different. And that coach there, the staff, the Bills Mafia, this is the real team. I mean, we might see, this might be the AFC Championship.
It might be.
The AFC champions.
Remember I was talking
So-
about buying in?
Mhm.
All the Bills on both sides of the ball have bought in. They're in it.
And Josh Allen's having fun out there. I mean, so that's interesting. So so we all agree we're going for Buffalo.
I would.
Yeah. Okay.
If I can add.
No, go ahead.
So, what Eric said, and for some reason they do this with wide receivers. They do this with running backs. They just stack the box. Well, they know what Derrick Henry's got going on. They know what Tennessee does, and he just blasts people. He ends up with 50-yard, 60-yard gashes once or twice a game. He ends up with 150 yards almost every game. Like, for some reason, you just can't stop him, but they don't win the football games.
Yep.
So they got a turnover differential 25th in the league. Bills, number 1 in the league. So your defense is going to be a bigger factor in this game. They're not going to stop the run. Derrick Henry's going to have over 100 rushing yards.
He's going to eat.
Yeah. But if you can't get your defense to stop the other team's offense, which, Buffalo's offense, points per game, first in the league.
Yes.
So not only are they clicking on offense, but they're clicking on defense. So I think that's going to be the biggest factor for them.
All right. Well, I'm just happy that one of my favorite wide receivers is Emmanuel Sanders, and I'm glad they picked. For some reason, everywhere he goes,
Former
and besides former Bronco, Super Bowl. Thank you. But overall, he's such a huge compliment because now it takes the pressure off Stephon Diggs, and now you have those two going in, and it's just their running game. They could use. I mean, Zach Moss needs to step up, and Singletary. Those guys need
He's
it.
doing a lot better, though.
They
Yep.
just
He's
a
doing
little
better.
bit more to help out.
Yeah.
So so we all agree it's going to be Buffalo.
Yep.
All right. Next up, our team, our local team, the Kansas City Chiefs, are going to go visit the Washington football team. Now, we all know that Kansas City has struggled defensively. According to one of the shows on ESPN, I think it's Marcus Spears. I think that was him. Don't sue me. I don't know. I can't remember if it was him that said it. Called the Chiefs defense soft. They are soft. Now, why could they say they're soft? Because they can't stop the run. Now, to all my friends that I've talked to everyone we've had conversations about the Chiefs, offensively, we're not talking about you guys. We're not. Because Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL. I agree with that.
Yes.
And I agree he's a phenomenal player. Yes. But defensively, you guys, I don't know what's going on.
Chris Jones was out, so they had no pressure up front. And then on the backside, Tyrann Mathieu was not tackling, and then Daniel Sorensen was out there burnt like toast.
That's him.
Barbecue
That's who it
chicken,
is. Sorensen.
Like how much burned barbecue chicken?
charred black.
No flavor?
He was getting turned around, letting people behind him. I mean,
The touchdown that Knox did, that was hilarious. He looked lost.
he's a good player, but sometimes he just looks lost. He shows up in the playoffs. He'll get you one turnover, one fumble recovery, but sometimes in the regular season, I'm like, he's got to go. I don't know.
Well, check this out. Let's just say that the Chiefs squeak into the playoffs. You know, it's going to be the first time in the Mahomes era where they're not going to be at Arrowhead.
Right.
They're going to have to play away. And so that's going to be kind of different. But, I mean, they're already equipped and ready. But before we stretch them out too far, let's just come back to the Washington football team. Okay, so Washington, they're not doing as good as they did last year. But last year, they strided the second half of the season.
Yeah.
The defense has been kind of quiet. They've let up a lot of plays. But they have two running backs. They've got a good wide receiver. And also their quarterback's, what's his name again? Terry
Heineke.
Heineke.
Heineke. it's not bad balance here. So it's at Washington. So I'm going to start this off with you, Eric. Who are you going to give the advantage to in this game?
I have to give the advantage to the Chiefs. After coming off a loss like that, they kind of got punched in the mouth. They got a little bit embarrassed. So I believe Andy Reid's going to have them ready to go, and they need to start fast. That's always been a Chiefs problem. They come out slow, and then they have to play from behind, and they don't play very well from behind. So I think after a week of having to taste that loss and the way they got embarrassed, I think they're going to come out fast and flying. I think Tyreek Hill is going to get a lot of touches. I think Travis Kelce's going to get a lot of touches early, and Mahomes is going to have probably one of those games.
And you, Chuck?
Yeah, it could end up being a statement game for them. Just to prove to everybody that they're still on track. Like, everybody slips up. Look, Tampa lost a game, slipped up, but they played, one heck of a game against Philly on Thursday. So, what I think you're going to see mid-season like this going into it is you're going to see everybody's resume. You're going to see who they are and how they're going to play going forward. You get all the kinks out. You get all that rust off from the year before. You get your new guys in. You get your roster set. Last week we just saw who they were. The Chiefs were just not as good as a team as the Bills are playing the football right now. The Bills are setting their resume. They're setting who they are, and they're setting the tone. Their offense is there. Their defense is there. Kansas City is only there on offense. So guess what happens? The defense is going to override that.
Yep.
So this week with the Washington football game, you're just going to see who these teams are. Washington may stick in it, but Kansas City's going to win on the road, and Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. So,
well, of course, I'm going to give the edge to the Chiefs, but if they can't, stop the run game, don't be surprised if Washington, pulls off an upset in Washington, because they're not that bad of a team.
This is very unique. I've thought about it for a while, and of course, the status quo is going to say Kansas City. But you know what? I'll be a little different. Just because. Why not? I'll give Washington a chance. Why not? Yeah. Because guess what? I feel not just Tampa Bay, but if you really look into it, it all started with Boza with the Chargers exposing how Patrick Mahomes moves, how he coordinates. Yep. And then, yes, you can say the Super Bowl, but now look at the teams that they've lost to. They've kind of starting to figure out Patrick Mahomes on, what to do. You notice now the safeties, they keep two back now.
Oh, yeah.
They keep two back now. And then, of course, Tyreek's going to get his because he's fast. Travis is going to get his as well. But really, where's their run game at? It's not really there. Yeah. And so, therefore, I'm going to give it to Washington. And I'm just going to throw it out there just for the simple fact that they're going to run the ball because they know that's how they're going to try to beat Kansas City. So I'll go for Washington. I'll be that guy.
Okay.
All right. So next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Eric's team, Sunday Night Football. So, Eric, we're going to start it off with you. So before that, let's just say, Seattle's on a real struggle right now. So
they are.
Russell Wilson's out.
$200 million man out. Reserve.
Chris Carson is out. The defense is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have Tyler Lockett and you've got DK Metcalf getting ready to have Geno Smith to be their quarterback. So let's just run it by you real quick. What do you see is going to happen tomorrow?
Minkah Fitzpatrick's going to have 2 picks. TJ Watt's going to have 3 sacks.
Nice call.
It's going to be a Steelers defensive game. Geno Smith is going to realize why he was a backup. And we're going to win that game and get back on track. This is the back on track game for the Steelers. Najee's going to have a good game catching and running the ball.
Roll Tide.
And Ben's going to look good, I think. I don't think the Seahawks, if Russell Wilson was here, this is a different conversation. But he's out, and they're talking about possibly letting him go, I heard. Like they're kind of deciding that, he might not be worth all the money now, which is crazy to me because he's their franchise guy, let's be honest. But, that it is what it is. But I just think the Steelers have this one. This is it.
How about you, Chuck?
Yeah, the injuries with Seattle, there's just you can't recover from that. Like Geno Smith, I'll give him credit. He actually did play pretty good ball. He came in, and he's actually a semi-veteran at this sport. He's not new to the game, but I'd give him a little bit of credit. He played pretty well and did what he could with that football team under the circumstances they were in. But Steelers, they just don't have those missing links right now due to injuries. They're playing well, and that offense is going to do what it is. And the defense, I think they get a showcase game here. Like, they get to sit there and showcase each individual's talent and play call, and they're going to exploit that offense of the Seattle Seahawks.
Don?
Same thing, Steelers, because there's just too many injuries that Seattle's got to overcome to try to be competitive against the Steelers right now.
Well, let's look at it this a little bit. So we know already there's a committee. Pete Carroll already announced that Alex Collins is going to be the starting running back.
He's their guy. Yep.
Okay, he's their guy. And then is D Dallas still?
Yep.
Okay, so you got him in there. So you still got DK Metcalf when he's not dropping the ball, but he's still a menace. He's still and Tyler Lockett's a beast, of course.
Right.
But I like what Chuck is saying on this. Let's just say Gino becomes a game manager.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's a game manager. All he's got to now remember, Pittsburgh right now has not allowed a rushing touchdown. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Facts.
Nice.
So, if that's already being said, it's at Pittsburgh. I mean, you
Right.
know how it is down. You know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
The
Heinz
terrible
Field.
towels and all that. So with Seattle going in, Seattle is just got to go in to say, hey, we got to start running the ball. We've got to make these guys, because that's where your money is. Tyler Lockett, do some creative plays. I mean, the guy's fast. DK's big. I mean, overall, they can do it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then when you flip the script with Pittsburgh, Ben has not been really throwing the ball down the field. Am I right?
I still think that elbow and that shoulder is questionable. And then he took that hit last week and got up real slow. I mean, he's what, 37, 38, somewhere up there.
He's
at
older
least
than
38.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not a spring chicken anymore. So he has to stay upright for them to win.
And for them, they're just going to have to do is, shorten the game a little bit. Get Chris Claypool, get him going. Let Najee Harris run the ball, because Seattle's having a hard time stopping the run. So you might as well just get that going. So we all agree it's all going to be Pittsburgh.
Yep.
All right. Next up, our game of the week, we have the Los Angeles Chargers visiting the Baltimore Ravens. This is a real exciting game. And I'm going to tell you why. Well, first out, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to Andrew and also Curry, my friend. They're Charger fans, visiting the Ravens. All right. So, Eric, I'm going to start this off with you real quick. They're both 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
Both exciting quarterbacks. Both have beaten Kansas City, with
Yes.
one being convincingly and the other one was a thriller. This is exciting. This can be right here. The winner of them two, I got one of them two visiting the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship. Okay, so Justin Herbert's playing phenomenal. Mike Williams has stepped up. Keenan Allen is still a presence. Jared Cook, tight ends,
Yep.
doing it. Austin Eckler, okay, he's doing it here and there. But no one's talking about their defense. Now, the game against Dallas, no offense to, America's team. We don't like to do that here.
Right.
I know we can't disrespect Dallas a little bit. But here's the thing, though. They should have beaten Dallas, but we'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, do you feel that Los Angeles can go into Baltimore? Now, Baltimore's going hot.
Yeah.
And so is Los Angeles. But let's just get to the question. Who do you got?
I have the Chargers.
Okay. And tell me why.
I'm seeing the first second-year quarterback that hasn't had a sophomore slump in a long time. They have their guy for the next – I said this in a couple episodes ago. They have their guy for the next 10 to 14 years. He is the guy. The comparisons against, him and Mahomes, when Mahomes is on the golf course earlier this year that made Mahomes mad, he is a superstar in this league. He's in the right system. They believe in him. You can tell that. He's having fun. He's not making very many mistakes, if any. He's a star in this league. I think I love this game as the game of the week because it's two different styles. You have your traditional style, and then you have the spark plug, Lamar Jackson, who can beat you running and maybe beat you passing sometimes if Hollywood Brown can get loose.
I can't wait till we talk later on when the Pittsburgh Steelers visit the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going
Yes.
to talk a lot about that. All right. Who you got, Chuck?
I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think again, these teams are starting to show who they really are. And with what Baltimore did last week, it took an overtime opportunity to take the win away from Indianapolis like that. And Indianapolis is decent, but they're not that prolific. And so the Chargers are. They are that prolific. Like they don't put up number one points in the league, but they're putting up games, managed games, offensive pushing, defensive holding. They're doing what they need to do to win these football games on both sides of the ball. So, their quarterback, he's not – Patrick Mahomes gets all this attention, and he does it with his skills and he does it with his talent, but he lets it happen. He lets these – whether it's the media, whether it's social media, and they put him on this pedestal. Well, the Chargers guy's not on that pedestal, but he really could and should be. But he's not. He doesn't want to be. He just says, look, I'm going to play football. I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm going to win these games. And I'm going to get my team to the playoffs, and I'm going to put them in the best position they can have to win.
Facts.
And that offense, they have some weapons too. So I like what they're doing.
Don?
Man, this is going to be a real close one because after watching Baltimore with that comeback and Lamar Jackson for throwing for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, it's like, man, it's going to depend on the secondary play of the Chargers. If they can't contain their receivers and then watch with Lamar Jackson running all over the place, I might have to give the edge to Baltimore.
And those are good facts, Don. And this is interesting because I get to see it from both sides, Chuck, right?
It's in Baltimore.
It's in
so
Baltimore.
That's a good edge to have.
But here's the thing. Now let's dissect it down. And this is where I get like, okay, let's look at the resume. The tales of two tapes. Okay. Baltimore barely beat Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
They struggled against Kansas City. They had to go into a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They beat Denver convincingly. Okay, gotcha. All right. They lost to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Colts, the record shows that they're not doing that good. But Carson Wentz didn't throw a single interception in that game, so good job for him. Carson Wentz was beating their secondary. Okay. And Jonathan Taylor, he had 2 touchdowns. He was.
Yep.
I mean, I thought the game was over.
Yeah.
And shout out to Kyle. Kyle here. He's
a
big Colts fan. So shout out. We miss you. But you were missed. You missed the ship when the fourth quarter when Baltimore took care of you guys. But okay, now let's get to the point. This is the Los Angeles Chargers, 4-1 going in, beating caliber teams, and they're just getting better. I'm going to see 2 teams go at it tomorrow, but the reason why I'm going to go for the Chargers is because the simple fact is they're going to key in on capitalizing. I feel it's going to come down to not a field goal. It's going to come down to capitalizing on mistakes. Yeah. So I feel that if Lamar Jackson don't hold on to the ball, because this guy here, 2 fumbles he had, almost one, that was kind of questionable.
Yeah.
But he got that call. But the thing is that if you get the pressure on him and he starts doing those he's no Patrick Mahomes. He can't throw the ball like Patrick Mahomes does. But it's just he extends the plays. Yep. I mean, Hollywood's playing great. Thank goodness Mark Andrews decided to get some touchdowns because for a second I was getting concerned. Like, hey, dude, can we get a touchdown? Thank you for helping me in fantasy. I appreciate it. But this is going to be a statement game. But I agree, you guys. It's going to be the Chargers. This is something very unique about this team. Now, Baltimore, if they lose, I wouldn't be discouraged. I would just look back and say, okay, this is where we're at. Because right now, no one's talking about the Bengals right now. The Bengals, they're playing semi-okay. Semi-okay. They should have beaten Green Bay. They should have beaten them. But that's what happens when you didn't go for it on 4th and 1. They should have just let Mixon run the ball. But anyways, we all agree it's going to be the Chargers. And so we'll just see how it goes tomorrow. So that concludes the picks for that week. And also we want to give a quick shout out and thanks to our following sponsors.
All right. We're tagged. You guys want to take a second?
We can keep it going.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Let's
All right.
roll.
Go ahead.
All right, you guys. We are back for the exclusive episode of Chuck's Dugout. Chuck, it's been a long time. Tell me what's going on.
Oh man, we're deep in the playoffs now. I mean, we're where everything leads up. You play all those games, and right now there's only one October, and we're in it. So whether your team's in there or not, unfortunately you may not be, but you do have someone to pick. You've got some big name programs. You've got the Dodgers. You've got, Boston. These guys are always in the playoffs. The Astros are sitting in the ALCS for like 4th, 5th straight year. So, you got some familiar faces. But then if you want that underdog and you've got the team that wants to beat the big guys, well, you got the Braves. So, everyone's got someone to pick from right now. And I'm pretty excited about it. Not about today's game. The Astros went down. It's hard to beat a team that knocks out 2 grand slams in a game. But, Boston does what it does on the offensive side, and then their pitching does what it does there too. But I will say these 2 teams going into who's going to probably play the Dodgers. I'll be presumptuous and say that the Dodgers are going to take that NL series. The Dodgers have a pitching staff, so if the Astros or Red Sox can just keep these bats hot, like let's do this. Let's build each other up to go to the National League side, and let's take care of that ball with the offense, because their pitching's okay, but it's not solid like that. Like, you're scoring 9 runs, you're getting 2 grand slams, like your pitching is questionable now. But that just shows you that your hitting can handle what you need to get it done with. So keep those bats hot. That's what I would say for.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because my team, the Boston Red Sox, beat your team, Chuck.
Yeah, they did.
The Houston Astros. Here's the thing with Boston, to all my Boston fans out there. We struggled during the regular season. We kind of made our way a little bit, little here, little there, because the Tampa Bay Rays played phenomenal. They took care of that division, and so hats down to them for being that far. But for Boston and New York just keep battling out, and I got to give my respects to the New York Yankees, because as well they were doing pretty well themselves.
They had that run.
They did.
They put themselves in position to be in the argument.
Right.
They just couldn't figure it out.
On that side, this is what I find Boston to be so unique. They rallied when it mattered the most. They took care of their rivals, the New York Yankees. Going into Tampa, and they were already the number 1, but the advantage for us was we play in the same division.
Right.
So therefore, we're familiar. And then Boston took care of Tampa. We took care of them.
Oh, yeah.
And now we go into Houston. Because if I'm not mistaken, didn't Boston beat Houston to go to the World Series the last time?
Yeah, they did.
They did.
Of course. And who won it? We did. So, but this is now interesting on that side, because now, like today, 2 grand slams, and they're hitting. These guys are hitting. They're playing. Now they're coming to Fenway.
Yep.
And that's going to be a fun game.
And Chris Sale was on the mound, was he not? Did he get the start?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
He
okay.
was last night. Okay. And Houston took care of that game. But you give up a home game in a 2-3-2 series, that's hard. That's not a good idea.
Nope.
Because now you have to go 3 straight. So I do see this series going 7 games. And I can't really I can't say who's going to pull it off, because like you said, Boston wins games when they need to, and they're doing what they have to. They keep themselves in the running. They keep themselves, in the race there, and then they either do or they don't pull it out in the playoffs. And they beat the team that was probably going to knock them out, and that was the Tampa Bay Rays. I think personally, the Astros can get it together, and having home field advantage just lost. Well, you just put yourself in a very vulnerable position. So,
and then just turning over to the other side. You got to give it to the Dodgers. Of course, they're the defending world champions.
Yeah, they are.
And Max is playing phenomenal. He's playing great.
Something else, man.
And I thought for a second, where's Kershaw? They're going to struggle. No, they don't really need him right now. They're playing pretty well. But you know what? I'm going for the underdog, and this is why. Because Atlanta, every single year, they get there, they lose. They're almost there, they lose. And now they've got their pieces together, and they're playing against the Dodgers. I feel I'm going to go for the underdog. I want Atlanta in there.
Yeah.
And I want my team Boston to go in and take care of them. But anyways,
well, I mean,
yes, I agree, Chuck. This is because with Atlanta, look, when you look at their pennant, you're looking right, and they've got all these accolades, all the divisions that they won, and then they only have this one 1995 World Series, just one,
right?
Just one, but yet at the same time, the Dodgers have won 3 straight World Series.
Yep.
And finally, they got the third time's a charm. But this Dodger team is dangerous.
Oh yeah.
They're dangerous, and they took care of. And I still think San Francisco Giants was the best team.
Oh, they
I
were.
think they're the best
On
team,
record.
and the Dodgers proved, hey,
Well, did you watch that last swing? Did he swing or did he not
that is a
swing?
controversial swing. I mean, tell us about it, Chuck.
So I don't like the end of the game going out like that. Like that's
Facts.
not okay to do. Like that's no different than in the NFL with a PI call when it's clearly not, or something like that. Like these umpires can't do that. Like I don't like that. But it is what it is. You shouldn't have been that. You shouldn't have been down. You shouldn't have been down those runs. You
Absolutely.
shouldn't have gave it up. And you was in the bottom of the ninth, and you had an opportunity, and you didn't take it.
You
So-
hate to see it though.
Right. Well, I will say missed call by the umpires is one thing, but what didn't happen was there was not contact with that ball and bat. And that was your job, and you had the opportunity to do it, and you didn't do it.
Yep.
You left it up to the umpires to do that.
You
To
never want to do that.
Never. So, in one side, it's unfortunate that it happened. Did the Dodgers decisively handle the Giants? No, but the Giants were the best team in MLB all season long, so you didn't expect that too. That was a NLCS game. Series right there. Like the Braves to be in the NLCS is a storybook for them. But what you saw with the Giants and Dodgers, that should have been going on right now.
That kind of caliber
realistically.
game.
Yeah, when you have the Dodgers as a wild card team, I mean, they were the hottest team going into the playoffs because the run scored, the differential was right there. Like
Did
they were so hot.
Chuck, did they not win 102 games and they were a wild card team?
I couldn't believe it, man. Like, if that's something that I would like to see with the Yankees, just because I want to see that happen to their program. But for the Dodgers to be that talented and their roster to be like that, it's like, well, you almost didn't make it. Like you could have lost that wild card. You have one bad game, like that happens. Happened today to the Astros. It can happen to any team in the league. So,
But and I agree, Chuck. But they're just the most experienced team going in.
absolutely.
I mean, and here's the thing, though. Yes, the Cardinals, when they played the Cardinals was on their streak as well.
They were.
And unfortunately, like we were talking about previously, their coach got fired. But overall, I mean, it goes to show that sometimes when the program just feels like, hey, you know what, you're not doing it. Look at Milwaukee. They won their division, but they just couldn't do anything in the playoffs.
That's
and
what
then
it comes down to.
The White Sox. The White Sox was the talk of the town.
right.
And then they go in and then they get manhandled by
Yeah.
Houston.
Well, that just showed that I think that they looked really good because of their division was a little weaker. But I mean, you showed up and you played. I mean, you make it to the playoffs, and it's not like the Red Sox where you're going to go to the playoffs. Like they almost know and expect that in that town, and they build it up. And you don't have to be successful. And I think that's like to your point. You don't have to have the best record in the league and that fan base to sit there and think, man, I don't know if we're going to make it or not. No, you know you're going to be there. You know you're going to get there, and you know you're going to have a shot. So I will say to the point of the Cardinals to do that, a lot of people and maybe the fans are sitting there disappointed, like, well, what's going on? We're successful. You're already a successful program. Like your playoff record shows it. And guess what? If you can't make it to the championship series, if you can't make it to the World Series, then that's what matters to those guys. And that front office they made the point. Like if you can't get us there, hey, I'm sure they got mad respect. Like they pay that man and they sent him on a way out. It wasn't disrespectful to me. I feel, you just got a job to do, and he understands that, and he's a professional.
So
But-
they treat
Chuck-
him. They treat him better than John Gruden did, right?
But Chuck, but Chuck, as a Cardinals fan, when you have Arenado and you have Goldschmidt, those hot offensive players and very good defensive players as well, and you can't play in October,
Right.
and we all know baseball is about October.
Oh yeah.
Something's got to change.
It absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, we're
yeah.
talking about a franchise that has the second most World Series behind the Yankees.
It was unexpected, but not to the people that paid attention to the right things. I
Correct.
feel. So
Exactly. Well, we're going to tune in the next episode. So by then, we should know. By the next episode, we should be getting closer to who's going to be entering the World Series. So we'll tune into the next episode on that. So next up, our favorite showdown here, Mano a Mano. All right. So Mano a Mano is brought to you by State Farm. Visit Ernie Relis at 11330 East Central in Wichita, Kansas. Please give him a call for all your insurance needs. All right, so first up, we're going to start off with Eric and Don. Eric, you were the champion, so this is how many wins do you have under your belt?
I have two.
Two. Chuck, how many do you have?
I don't think I champion. I don't think I have a win-win. I think I've won a couple of battles here and there, but I don't think I took the whole deal. So.
Yeah, not good enough.
Nope.
All right, Don. We'll just skip you, Don.
Yeah.
Don. All right, so this could be you. This could be
it.
you. All right, so I'm going to start this off with you, Don. All right, first up, is the Kansas City Chiefs still a threat in the AFC?
Right now, they're not, because their defense is just horrible. There's no other way to put it. Yes, offensively they're still dangerous, but defensively, there's nothing there. And if you can just give Kansas City 2 or 3 stops, that's it. Because defensively you can move the ball on them all over the place. So I don't think right now they're a threat at all.
Okay, I'm going to say they're still a threat just because they have Andy Reid. All right, one of the best coaches in the NFL. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have the offensive weapons. Yeah, they got punched in the mouth, but you let Andy Reid dissect that, get the defense together, make some adjustments, move some players around, and they're still a threat. It's hard in this league to go undefeated. You can have a couple of losses and still limp into the playoffs and still make a run. Joe Flacco got paid for the rest of his life off of that. So, it can happen. Eli Manning also became a Hall of Famer, or is going to be a Hall of Famer off of that as well. So it's not over yet. It's still a little early. They can still come back and make the playoffs and make a run, but they just look bad right now.
And the thing is, if they still got to play the Chargers one more time.
Of course.
And if they can't beat them, then they're not going anywhere.
You're right.
And then they have to go through the wild card. Question is, can they beat the Bills and the Chargers again?
Like I said in the beginning of the year, the Bills and Chiefs is the new rivalry in the AFC. So I think Patrick Mahomes is really thinking about legacy, because I think he got real upset when he lost to Tom Brady, because that was a big thing. It's like, can the new guy beat the old guy? Mm-hmm. And so he doesn't want another guy, Josh Allen, or another guy, Justin Herbert, to dethrone the face of the NFL. So I think he's going to come up for those games, and he's going to show up, and he's going to put the team on his back, because he is the $500 million man.
But they do got some tough games coming up on the schedule.
That's right.
I don't know if they have what it takes to beat Green Bay right now, and there's a few, even Dallas. I don't think they can beat Dallas right now.
Dallas is looking good right now.
Because I say another 2 or 3 more losses, it's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs.
It would be, but I'll say one thing: any given Sunday.
True.
You just find ways to win here. I got to give it to him. But, hey, Don, I'll just tell you this. Good job on that, because, yes, they do have to play Green Bay. They still got to play Dallas.
Yeah. And
they're saying, our schedule, even though their schedule shows that it's going to get a little easier, but when they're going to play those 2 teams, we're going to find out if this high-octane offenses, can they stop them. So, but we'll give this to Eric on this round, so you'll get your next chance. So, next up, we have we're going to go ahead and give this to Eric and Chuck. So I'm going to start this off with Chuck. So Chuck, with the Cleveland Browns losing to the Los Angeles Chargers last week, is this panic mode for the Cleveland Browns, or is just growing pains?
Well, injuries say panic, but it's a long season. It's the Chargers. Like, that's top 2, top 3 team in the AFC right there. So you could tip it to growing pains pretty easily. I just think that bigger picture, whether you panic or whether it's growing pains, you're not a top echelon team in the AFC right now. So win the games you can, keep your team as healthy as possible, get that wild card, and then make your run. So regular season wise, I don't think you need to panic. I think you can chalk it up to the growing pains and say, hey, let's keep our record up there. We're in a pretty tough division. We do need to stand up. But if you pull that wild card out, you got to win 4 games, and that's it. So I don't think it's a panic button yet. I just think it shows that you have tiers in each league, and you're not that top tier team in the AFC right now. So don't panic. You just realize it. You face the music, and guess what? You get in there, you make the playoffs, and then you make your run.
That's a hard act to follow. I don't think it's panic time. I think they really need to settle down, because everybody wants them to panic. I think the Browns fandom wants them to panic, but I think if Baker has to really take control. He has to really step up as a leader, because everybody's looking at him. He's on all these commercials on TV, first overall draft pick. They got that playoff win. They beat the Steelers last year, and they want more. But he has to control the ball. He can't turn the ball over. They can't have bad interceptions. They have to finish games. But they're hurt. It's hard to win a race when your shoes are tied. So they have to. I think what Chuck said is correct. Their sights and their goals need to be wild card. It has to be the wild card because they're not going to win the division. The Bengals are playing good. The Steelers are trying to turn back up. I don't think they're going to take the division. It has to be the wild card.
You got this, Eric. Man, Chuck,
give me one.
I'll give you one.
Opportunity.
Okay.
He's gonna get
please.
one.
So when the team became as star-studded as it was, and they didn't produce, and then they go next season and then they produce, your division is only getting better. With the exception of Ben Roethlisberger, lengthwise, that team's still solid.
Yes.
Your division is only getting better. The AFC was only getting better. They're the young teams, the young quarterbacks getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where you are. You're a young quarterback. Your team's supposed to get. You're already there. You have the weapons and stuff. So you don't need to panic now, but your organization needs to panic as a whole if you don't make the playoffs this year. And their schedule, it screams panic by the end of the season if you don't make that playoff slot.
Let's remember that as soon as they got Odell, they were supposed to be Super Bowl favorites.
Him and Jarvis.
And remember what happened. That Tennessee came to town and said they were exactly who we thought they were. They're still the Browns. They still have to get past that hump.
Just stop. Chuck, stop.
Save it for the next round, bud.
He's like the Red Sox, just destroying you.
He's got it.
Man, Eric, you're on fire. Okay, just shut it down. Shut it down.
Man. It's
All
tough.
right. All right, Eric, you got this one. All right, so we're gonna start this off with you, Don. So Don and Chuck here. All right, so Chuck, we're gonna get at you again, but let's go start this off with Don. With the resignation of John Gruden, how do you see the Raiders playing out this year?
It all depends on how they rail around the new coach, Biasu, if I'm saying his name right. Some of the reports I've read, he has a good rapport with the team, and he's going to rely heavy on a lot of the coordinators on both offensive, defensive to get the team going. So I feel that they can still get it back on track. It's just that this next game against Denver is going to be the game to see where they're at in their mindset if they're going to get it back on track.
Chuck?
You say back on track. I don't. Other than their record in a pretty tough division, I don't think they were really on track to begin with. You just lost to the Bears with John Gruden. I think that, and I'm not knocking them. I still think it's a solid team. Their quarterback's good, but I just don't think that they were actually on track to be as successful as they might have seemed to be with John Gruden at the helm. You have a chance to show that you can still be the team, and like you said, you want to rally around the coach, but an organization like in the NFL, it takes so many pieces to make it happen. It's not just the one quarterback that puts it together. It's not just the coach. It's not just one coordinator. It's the whole program as a whole that clicks and makes it happen. I don't know that they go above 500 now because I didn't think they were going to end up but maybe a game or two over it, if that, with him there. I do think that he was overpaid, and I do think he was a little overhyped. And he had his chances and he had his opportunity. His character just showed who he really was, I think. So let's let that determine something as far as him and himself in that sense. But the team themselves, Carr is a good quarterback and can manage football games. I just don't think they were actually on track. That division's one of the toughest divisions in the league. You weren't on track to really do that, other than your record showing 3-2 in a very tough division. I think that they're just going to show who they are, and their team is going to stay at that level. They're going to stay the same thing.
Don.
Well, with the distractions they had with that Chicago game, they had too much talent to lose to that team because they had a lot of drop balls. The defense was getting penalties all over the place. I think when that report came out the 2 days before the game even started, I don't even think they were even focused on that game because how can you play for a man who's considered a racist and misogynistic and homophobic statements that he's made in emails.
Mm-hmm.
So in that game, clearly they were just totally distracted, and they weren't even together in that game. I feel that now with this week coming up, Biasha's going to get them together, and they're going to rally back and come back and win.
Chuck?
Well, I'll give you this, Don. If they do beat the Denver Broncos in Denver, then that just shows you the pace that they were on. They are, I'll give you that, they are on track. If they win, they are on track. I'll give them that.
That's pretty much all else I got to say about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, Don, you got that one
I'll
then.
give 'em that
I'll
one.
give you that one. All right. All right. So we're going to start this off with Red Hot Eric. Will the Arizona Cardinals continue to dominate, and will they win the division, or possibly go into the NFC Championship?
I think they have a chance. I really do think they have a chance. They're kind of clicking on all cylinders. The coaching's there, the quarterback's there, the weapons are there. It's a hot young quarterback who's not making a lot of mistakes, and he's relying on his weapons. J.J. Watt might have a chance to finally make the playoffs past the first round. He's playing, good. They need to get Chandler Jones back. I think if they can stay, like a thing Chuck said earlier, if they can stay healthy and keep their stars healthy, they can make a run, a legitimate run.
Yeah, I think as long as they get past the Rams, Seattle, with them in trouble, they probably don't have to worry about it. It's just the Rams and the 49ers. 49ers, you got to be careful of them because they can easily make a run in the second half of the season. But more than likely, they're going to win the division because there's just too much talent on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely.
And like you said, with the health, as long as everybody stay healthy, keep everybody away from getting COVID and everything, they should be all right.
Man, it kind of looks like they're going to be the last man standing. That's what you have to be with the injuries and COVID and winning tough games. You got to find a way to win tough games. I think they can do that. I think they have the talent to do it. It's just their time right now. I think the 49ers' time passed. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy there. Clearly, when they took Trey Lane in the first round, he's the future. I think Jimmy's time is numbered. But that defense is still good in San Fran, and they do have a good coach in Kyle Shanahan. The Rams, they're a hot team. Matthew Stafford's playing very well. I think this is his last chance to make a run. I think he knows that. I think there's a couple other players on that team. Aaron Donald's frustrated because he's getting double and triple teams. He's not getting his numbers, but they are a very tough team, but they're having drops. They're having drops. They're losing games that they should win. And I think sometimes it's just about being where you need to be in the right time. I think Arizona's there.
So, if I'm not mistaken, has Los Angeles only lost one game? The Rams only lost one game, haven't they?
Yeah, just the one.
Now, with the addition of Deshaun Jackson, they now got a deep threat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Cooper Kupp is playing phenomenal, of course. And Robert Woods has been a
Woods,
little
he's
quiet,
fine.
but
He's
it's
been
just
fine.
again, we talk about the running game. They don't have a running game to complement. Now, Arizona, their run game is not all that great either. But so it's just this West Coast offenses that are going
I think
at
it's
it.
going to come down to when they play each other again.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not who wins that game, I think is going to determine who's
And
gonna
I
take
think
the
they're
division.
going to flex that game. I'm pretty sure of that. So, Eric, you got it again. Eric. It's just, man, Eric, who's going to beat you? Who's going to beat you?
My kryptonite is Chaz.
All right, well.
but Chuck is right there.
Okay,
Chuck is
well,
right
and
there.
ask and you shall receive. All right, we're going to give this to Chuck. All right, next up. Will the Seattle Seahawks miss out on the playoffs, or will they make a late run when Russell Wilson returns?
Yeah. No, they're not going to make the playoffs. To elaborate, Russell Wilson really does need to take his talents somewhere else. The team and him, they already, no matter what they said happened, something happened and they almost had a fallout. And it probably should have happened then and let it go, and they should have just parted ways there. Money talks and talent walks. And if you're getting paid but you can't play, why would the organization not want to look at another option? Like, that's just what they need to do. And they're going to do it because they're professionals, and that's what they are. Russell Wilson, I don't think he takes it personal. He's a very mature and he's a very professional athlete himself. But he's got all the talent in the world, and he's still at the age to where he can showcase that. You need to go to a team that can utilize that and take that to let's build around you for a couple years, and then let's let you pass the torch on to our next quarterback coming up, and that's not Seattle right now. I also still believe that Pete Carroll, he's a great coach, but he's not as great as people really think he is. He stood out at USC because of the recruits he was able to pay. I mean, recruit to USC.
There it is. We need to edit that.
Yeah. Well, no, we can say it. They can pay him now. They can pay him now. And that's what happened there. Because when those quarterbacks that played under him went to the NFL, they showed who they really are. They really were as well. But is Seattle done this year? Yes, they are done this year. Legion of Boom, that was your downfall after they were gone, and now they're not returning, and your defense is not on the up and up in any way. You're not up in talent. You're not up in coordinators. Like, what are they really doing to get their program back on board right now? Injuries are only going to add to that, and now you have nothing to back it up.
So they're getting up there in age as well. Chuck, a lot of good points there, but I'll piggyback off of what he said. Something happened between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. Clearly money was an issue. They couldn't get away from him, and now this is their time to get out. This is their out right here. The hurt finger, injured reserve is their chance to get out. I'm going to go back to like Donovan McNabb when he left the Eagles, how that kind of happened. It wasn't exactly pretty. It was kind of ugly. That's what's going to happen here because he's so loved by that fan base, and he has been at an elite level for so long, but he played for so many years with no weapons. And so he was upset about that. Then they give him some weapons, but then now he's up there in age. He's starting to get hurt because he can't run around like he used to. And so now he's hurt, and now they're going to find an option for him to go somewhere else.
And this is just so terrible because overall he took the organization to 2 Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been in the playoff contention, and
he was an offensive play call away from a Super Bowl. So
right, and we all know
the worst play call in NFL history.
Yeah. Because even overall, they should have. Everyone that saw that Super Bowl knew very well: run the ball, just run it, give it to Marshawn Lynch.
Yep. And a timeout.
And then they just gave up. So,
but I blame Pete for that. And like Chuck said, he's not as good as coach. You look at the quarterbacks. There's only one quarterback that has a chance of making the Hall of Fame out of all those great quarterbacks, and it's Carson Palmer. Mm-hmm. Not Matt Leinart, not John David Booty, not all those other quarterbacks in between there. So, and then of course, you look at the way he left USC. He left right before the sanctions came down.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So you look at that. You look at the way the Legion of Boom fell apart. Sherman and him had an issue, and then Sherman's out. And then I forget the safety's name. And then Cam
Chancellor,
Bobby
Wagner.
He had to fight to get money when he was the pulse of that defense, the headhunter on that defense. So there's issues there because of control. And when you don't pay the players and the players are upset, when it comes to money in this league, the players stand behind each other and the organization loses every time. And you're starting to see that come to a full front right now. It's going to be rebuild time in the next season or two for Seattle. And it's going to be ugly.
Okay, again, Eric, you got it again. So, Eric, you already made the play. So you're going to wait the winner here. So, all right. So the winner here will face Eric in the championship of Mano a Mano. So I'm going to start this off with you, Don. Is Dallas' success this year, America's team, have implications that they will be NFC championship contenders, or this will be another early exit for them?
Based on the stats right now, they're contenders right now. As much as I hate to admit it, they're going to be contenders because ever since that first loss, they've just done nothing but look up. They're the defense with the most takeaways right now, and the offense is, they got their run game is going between 2 running backs that's averaging close to 100 yards a game. So, but right now, they're on fire, and so they're gonna have to get past Green Bay. I feel if they want to, win the NFC Championship game between them and Arizona, can they keep up with those 2 teams?
Yeah, their wins are what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to beat those teams, and the rest of their schedule is going to be the same thing. You're going to have a couple tough teams, maybe 1 or 2 tough games, but you play the ball you're playing, you're going to win out, and you're going to obviously take the division, and you're going to be into that second round more than likely. NFC isn't as tough or well-rounded as the AFC is, so they have a better leg to stand on to win and get to the NFC Championship game. Tampa's getting better and better. As ridiculous as it sounds for a team like that to not be at their best anyway, they're getting better and better. But you almost took them in their own home stadium. Like, you were almost there. So you get better and you get better. Their run game is getting better. You know, I'll say it over and over and over again. Dak Prescott last year was on pace to have a record-setting in almost every fashion of the quarterback play, except for rushing, but give that to Lamar. He was there. His games were there, and everyone says it. Well, of course you throw for 400-plus yards in a game. You're down so much, and you have to. Every losing quarterback in NFL history should have thrown for 400 yards because they were losing the game, and they didn't. Dak Prescott did, and he won the football game. And he's doing it now. So the run game, you don't have to have Ezekiel Elliott be the guy. You don't have to now, because guess what? Pollard's doing it, and he's making Zeke a better running back as well. You know, when your offensive line makes one running back look good, but now your other backup running back is making your offensive line and other running back look good, like, that's just a extra. Who doesn't want that in their offense? Like, Dak's doing what he's doing with one of the best receiving cores in NFL, and now you got the run game scoring it. Their injuries, I think, is what's going to hurt them again because their defenses have to take that hit. But, I mean, with their schedule going the way it's going, man, they're going to be the fourth best team in the NFC. And it's not saying much, but I think they got it.
And I think it depends on the seeding in the playoffs too. You know who they got to face, because if that's more than likely between Arizona and Green Bay, one of them two teams going to win NFC. So if it stays Arizona, so you're going to have Green Bay in divisional winners, and then the other wild card teams, the Rams and maybe Tampa. You know, and so if they have to face, I say if they have to face the Rams or Tampa, I don't think they get out of the first round.
I still feel that Tampa's going to win the division. They'll win the division. They'll probably be the number 2, 3 seed, probably. Dallas, if Dallas can continue what they're doing, and I agree with Chuck here, the thing is that they're getting players back. Defensively, have you noticed they're playing much different this time?
Yeah.
But offensively, and I have to hand this to Chuck because the simple fact that Dak is molding already to get that offense going. They missed Dak. Zeke finally, you know, with him just getting his mind right, and now Pollard is just running phenomenal. So I'm gonna give it to you, Chuck, because you did some good points. But Don, you did a good job, man. You're just getting better. You're getting better. So for the championship here, all right.
It's hard to beat somebody twice.
All right. Can we get three-peat here? Can we get a three-peat, or will it be Chuck? So we're gonna start this off with Chuck. Chuck,
Home field advantage, baby.
will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers repeat to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl? Is this yes or no?
Yes. It is absolute yes. They had a shake-up game against Dallas. They got exposed, but you have a little bit of a hangover coming from the Super Bowl. Not every team brings back every offensive player, every defensive player on the roster, and they did, but it still showed that, hey, we still did that, and we have one of the best quarterbacks of all time. We have this and that, but we can still – well, they did lose. They can still lose a football game, and we still can't win every game dominantly no matter what. It's the NFL, any given Sunday. It's just not going to happen. So what you have to do, and they're going to do it because Tom does it very well. His offensive line protects him, and he keeps his longevity. You need to do that. Their offensive weapons are so widespread that not one guy, except Antonio Brown, he showcases every game now. He's just being that guy again, but they don't have to have the one guy like Gronk getting hit over and over and over again because he's catching so many passes a game. Their offense is going to stay healthy. The defense, you know, their secondary is questionable. It's now taking the hits that it was. You thought with Richard Sherman added they were going to be okay. Now he's got a little bit of an injury nagging deal there. But you want that early on in the season because then you can get the healthy guys back. You can maintain and just coast. That's all they have to do. The NFC is not very well rounded. They get to coast and they get to keep the longevity. They have to face the Arizona Cardinals, depending on the seeding, but they face the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC title game. Kyler Murray is the next guy in the NFC. I think he's that, and that offense does it. But Tom is going to show his basically the GOAT status, and he's going to get himself to the Super Bowl again.
Eric?
So for me, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think the Rams have a chance. I'm going to go with the Rams and Matthew Stafford on his last ride. He's got the defense to do it. He's had the most weapons he's ever had, and he's got a great coach that believes in him, and they're playing good. I think the Rams, in an upset, can beat Tampa Bay. So I'm going to go with them. So, no, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to repeat. This is the hardest league in sports to repeat in. It's only happened a handful of times with a handful of teams. Yeah, Tom Brady did it, but I don't think he can do it in this city. I was born in Tampa, and I'm saying this.
I did not know you were born in Tampa.
I was born in Tampa.
Nice.
Tampa General Hospital. Shout out to Tampa General. I just don't think it can happen. Yes, everybody wants their guy, Tommy, to make it happen, to be the greatest, to have 9 and never be touched. I'm going to go for the underdog. I think Matthew Stafford deserves a chance. I think he has Hall of Fame stats. I think he can do it. I think Sean McVay is a coach that's going to win a Super Bowl. I think this could be his time. Aaron Donald, they got the Defensive Player of the Year. They can match them on offense with the receiving core. So I think in a shootout game, the Rams can take it because of the defensive line. That's what I'm going to go with.
If I can, 2 things. The Rams lost at home to Arizona because the one guy that needed to do it got double-teamed and triple-teamed, and he couldn't do it. So the Arizona Cardinals took care of the Rams. It was early in the season. I'll give you that.
Early in the season, yep.
But they took care of them at home. So now they get to ride out the rest of their schedule and likely stay healthy, I think. And I think that what more than likely ends up happening is the Arizona Cardinals face the Rams before the Rams or Cardinals get to face the Buccaneers. I do think Tampa takes the number 1 seed. I think they get the extra break. They have a cake schedule the last several games of the season. So this 17 game isn't going to affect Tampa like it's going to affect a lot of other teams that have to face that issue of recovery and stuff. But I also think that unless Matt Stafford can talk to Eli Manning on how to do it, you're not going to beat Tom Brady going into the NFC title game.
I think Matt Stafford might make that phone call. But here's what happens, too. I'm going to go back to something that I've seen a lot in the playoffs. Every team that gets a bye doesn't always win coming off that bye because sometimes you have to play every week to stay consistent, and that week off hurts teams. So I don't think the Rams are going to have that bye. So I think that they'll come in and they'll be consistent. And I think really Sean McVay will get those boys going because it is the last chance. Because if Matt Stafford doesn't do it, all those contracts that are coming up, the people that need to get paid in L.A., somebody's got to go. And he's getting older, and you don't want to lose Aaron Donald, one of the highest paid players on defense, because that's kind of your face. It's not Matthew Stafford. It's not the coach. It's Aaron Donald.
You know I'm disappointed in the both of you guys. Because
that was a title fight.
Not one time you guys mentioned Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. You know how Green Bay's playing right now offense? Devontae Adams? You know what I'm saying? But guess what? They always go into NFC Championship. They're only 1 for 4. Chuck, you did some great points. Eric, you put up some great points. This is really tough. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the way you guys both balanced it out. But you didn't tell me you were born in Tampa. And you're a good friend, so you lost. I'm going to give this to Chuck. This is for Chuck. Congrats. And overall, but I want to say this. Eric, you're just killing it, dude. You're killing it, and you already set the thing. But all we need is now that Chuck's around here, now if we just get Kyle in and Chaz in, this is going to be an elite. But I'm going to tell you this. Eric, it's phenomenal.
Hey, that was a title
Don,
fight. I got to give it to Chuck. You know, I got his number 2 other times, it's always a close battle. I love this, and well deserved, Chuck.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, so I got one this time. So
You got it. You got it,
There you
man.
go.
Well, you guys, I want to say thank you so much to everyone. Thank you, guys. And I know it's been a while, but I'm telling you guys, I'm glad that we're sticking in here because at the end of the day, we're doing it because we appreciate the audience. We appreciate the people that tune into us because overall, I am just so thankful that we're able to express our thoughts, our feelings about the sports, about everything in general. So please tune in to our channels. I mean, like, subscribe. And we got more content to come out. So on my end, thank you to everyone that tuned in, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you, guys.